I'm so excited to be able to introduce you today from Deloach Vineyards, Brian Maloney. Brian originally comes from this amazing appellation of Sonoma County, for this incredible and unbelievable landscape that we're witnessing today. I'd love to ask Brian a few questions, as he's been now Director of Winemaking at Deloach Vineyards and has been here for the last 7 years and have surrounded himself as well with the best consultants. So Brian, how is it to have been born in this incredible Sonoma Valley?
Being raised on a farm in Sonoma County was an experience that is incomparable to any other in my life. I started out as a young child raised on a ranch just south of where Deloach is located, and from a very young time period experienced the life cycles of farming life, whether it was with sheep and cattle or also with grapevines and vegetables, as we grew up and raised all sorts of different things on the ranch there where I was born. That time period has really had a powerful effect on my approach to winemaking, as well as just how I deal with people in the whole experience of Deloach Vineyards.
Brian, tell us a little bit as well about the wine philosophy at Deloach Vineyards.
Working at Deloach Vineyards has been an exceptional opportunity for me. Being able to come here and having the chance to work with a family that has years of Burgundian winemaking experience, and then still having that winemaking team from California with all their years of experience and techniques that they've brought up, has really provided me the opportunity to make fantastic Pinot Noirs and Chardonnays.
Brian, why don't you describe to us those key areas in appellation and terroir of Sonoma County?
Sonoma County is a special place for winemaking really because of the terroir and the geology of it. 30 million years ago, Sonoma County didn't really exist. It was born of the conflict between the Pacific Ocean and the North American continent. And from that conflict, we arose with a vast variety of soil types, which means that from the northern part of the county to the southern part of the county, you have 40 distinct soil types with which to explore the different flavor contributions they bring to the grapevine. Add that to the beneficial Mediterranean climate that Sonoma County has, and the vast difference in weather conditions that you have depending on how close you are to the coast or the different coastal valleys. And it makes for a fascinating area to explore the potential of. And I love the wines, especially the old vine Zinfandels and the Pinot Noirs from the area. They're just something that I haven't been able to find another place that can even hold up to it.
Brian, what is the philosophy of Deloach within the Zinfandel area?
Back in 1975, when Deloach made its very first wine, it was an old vine Zinfandel. That Zinfandel is really the hallmark grape variety of California. It's something that's not found anywhere else on earth. Because of the pioneers that planted these vineyards, you see a great diversity within them of all sorts of different varieties that were kind of blended together by the Italian immigrants who planted these vineyards. Now today, what we found with Deloach's Vineyard Designate Zinfandel program is the ability to spotlight all the diverse sub-appellations of the Russian River Valley and Sonoma County and show how the extreme western areas, such as the Von Weidlich Vineyard, provide just a really racy acidity and expressive florality to Zinfandel. That's a totally different thing than what you see over in the Rieble Vineyard, which is tucked back into the canyons off of Marquess Springs Road. The diversity of sites that we're able to show and the expression you get of Zinfandel off of these various places, these vineyards, really is something that's so unique and so uncomparable compared to other varieties in other places. It's one of the most special parts of Sonoma County viticulture and winemaking.
Tell us why Deloach belongs to the Hall of Fame of Zinfandel producers.
Well, what really makes Deloach special, in my opinion, is the fact that we have a backbone of making old vine Zinfandel. This is really the heritage wine of California. It's something that's so unique. There's very few places on earth where they've had this ability to kind of transform a place by what the original farmers did with it, where they went in and they combined all these different varietals to give you a flavor profile that is so unique and so typical of one vineyard and unable to be replicated anywhere else. Starting from that base, it was very obvious early on that Deloach was much about site-specific areas. We work with a vast number of terroirs, something like 40 different vineyards. And within those vineyard types, we really search out certain soil conditions. We like to look for that sandy loam soil base, something that's very well drained, doesn't hold on to a lot of nutrition, but provides a great opportunity for the grapevine really to express itself as opposed to expressing the nutrients that the farmer may be adding to it. With those conditions and being able to work in all the different coastal valleys and inland valleys that Sonoma County offers, It's something that has allowed Deloche really to succeed with a vast vineyard designate portfolio.
Brian, Pinot Noir runs in our blood. Could you please elaborate on how Deloche became such a leader in Pinot Noir winemaking?
With Deloche Vineyards becoming part of the Boisset family in 2003, we really saw an opportunity to start exploring the terroirs of Pinot Noir in Sonoma County. Sonoma County, the way it's set up, has a lot of different micro appellations that you can delve into and really see the different faces of Pinot Noir. It's in many ways very similar to Burgundy in that aspect. We have areas up off of West Side Road which are much warmer, but have a great soil type and aspect that allow you to see that classic California style of Pinot Noir. Out in the Green Valley where it's a little bit cooler and the soil types are all very well drained, Gold Ridge based, you see a little bit spicier, lacier aspect to the wines. And as you go down into the Petaluma Gap area, especially in the deep end of the gap, such as Sonoma Stage, you see that richer, more textured and more meatier style of Pinot Noir, all within about 15 miles of each other. It's the variation that you see as the crow flies between these different sites that offers you that unique aspect that isn't found in a lot of other places where Pinot Noir is grown. Only a couple others really around the world. From the soil types of Sonoma Mountain with the Vanderkamp Vineyard on top, to the Sebastopol Hills where you have these tiny little vineyards sheltered from the winds of the Pacific Ocean. It's those different flavor characteristics that we can tease out, the textures, the florality, the fruit characteristics that just aren't found many other places in California, let alone in the world, that makes Pinot Noir such an important thing to what we do, and it's why we're so passionate about it.
Brian, could you please describe the Pinot Noir leadership of Deloche Vineyards and what we do at Deloche with our Pinot Noir vineyards and winemaking?
Deloche Pinot Noir really starts with trusting and obeying what Mother Nature is giving us. It's not about forcing our hand into one style or the other. It's looking at the vineyard, looking at the vines, and following their natural growth cycle, and then picking the grapes at optimum flavor ripeness, bringing them into the winery, and letting natural fermentations and old wooden open tops take over. We do hand punch downs. We like to touch the grapes. We like to be part of that whole process. We don't want to just put it into a cold stainless vat and let, automatic processes take over. We want to be there touching, feeling, smelling, being part of the fermentation process, but not controlling it. It's that contribution of both that human aspect as well as the terroir and the grapes themselves that is where fine wines come from and is really what Deloche is. It's about bringing all those components together and letting the wines speak for themselves.
Deloche has always been an amazing leader in Chardonnay. Why is that, and why in the Russian River Valley?
Chardonnay has been one of the backbone varieties of Deloche Vineyards back from its early days. It's one of the most important wine varieties in the world, and the Russian River Valley combines the aspect of marine soil bases as well as a balance between warm days and cool nights that really lets the variety shine. It's easy to make great Chardonnays when you have great terroir to work with, and what we've done is really just searched out the vineyards with the best terroir in the area. We look for areas with well-drained soil, a little bit uplifted off the valley floor, or those sites that have a nice hillside aspect. Those hillside sites tend to be tremendous areas for exploration into Chardonnay's expression and textures and weights. We have an amazing collection of the best Chardonnay vineyards really in California, where you can go basically in a straight line south, starting at the Ritchie Vineyard, where you have a luscious, weighty wine, to the Hawk Hill Vineyard at the southern tip, where the austerity and the minerality of it have often been compared to Chablis. It's that breadth of textures and weights and flavor components that make the Russian River so fascinating, and why Chardonnay is one of the most important varieties for us and also in the world.
Brian, tell us about Petaluma.
The Petaluma Gap has a fascinating aspect to it because it really is defined more by where you can't grow the grapes as opposed to where you can. The hillsides of Sonoma County along the coastline are around 1,000, 1,200 feet in elevation until you get to the Petaluma Gap. This is where I was born and raised, so I know a lot about the winds and the fog of the Petaluma Gap. It happens where the hillsides break down to about 300-foot elevation, and very seasonally, especially in the summertime, almost like clockwork, the fog and the wind comes in the afternoon and cools everything down and really changes the growing aspect, especially to the surrounding regions. That cold wind and that fog causes the marginal areas of it to be much cooler than where you would be just on the other side of the hill. And that allows for Pinot Noir really to struggle and show kind of those more savory aspects and higher toned aspects where it does on its marginal areas.
Brian, tell us about Sebastopol.
The Sebastopol Hills is kind of wedged in between the Petaluma Gap to the south and the Green Valley to the west. It's these hills which combine the aspect of the cooling aspect of the Petaluma Gap with all that wind and fog, as well as that soil type, the same soil type you find in the Green Valley, that gold-rich soil. It's a tricky area to plant grapevines because depending on the side of the hillside, you may not be able to get them ripe. You get that wind coming off the Petaluma Gap, and it really can cause problems for growing grapes and getting ripe flavors to occur. But when you're in that protected, sheltered side of the hillside, you see outstanding flavor characteristics. It's some of the most exciting wines I've ever tasted come from the Sebastopol Hills area, with the Mabaroshi vineyard being one of the most exciting that I've ever had.
Everybody in the world is actually talking about the Green Valley appellation. Tell us why and how lucky we are at Deloach to be at the epicenter of this incredible appellation.
The Green Valley was an appellation that early on Deloach decided to really start to explore the complexities and the terroir of. It's essentially an appellation that's defined by its soil type. It's almost all made up of Gold Ridge-based soil, which is a very well-drained marine-based soil. It was uplifted about 20 million years ago from the Pacific Ocean. In some areas of that area, it's still beach sand where we're planting the grapes. It's from that soil type that we have the basis, but it's really the weather that makes the Green Valley special. Unlike most appellations in Sonoma County, the eastern side of the Green Valley is actually its coldest area. And it's as that fog flows into the valley floor that it causes an amazing occurrence on the hillsides to the west of it. This inversion layer provides just enough heat so that you can ripen everything from Pinot Noir to Zinfandel, as long as it's in a sheltered, protected location. Those varieties and the aspects and flavors that we get from them are very, very special. And it's something that the uniqueness of is really unmatched in such a cool climate area in California.
Brian, Marin County sounds like an amazing proposition. Why are the wines and the vineyards of Marin County possibly the future of California?
After exploring the different flavor aspects and terroirs of the Green Valley and Sebastopol Hills, it was inevitable that we were going to have to go south and explore Marin County. This is an area that in many ways mirrors the West Sonoma County appellations of the Sonoma coast. They had similar soil types, especially in the northwestern parts of the appellation. It's a mirror image of the Sebastopol Hills in the sense that the Petaluma Gap to the north of it is the cooling aspect. It's where all the wind and fog come in and cool off the appellations at night and during the afternoon days during the summer. With those conditions, it would seem inevitable that grapevines would be planted everywhere in this area. In reality, after Prohibition occurred, no grapevine plantings were done until the 1950s. And it's only in the last 20 years that you've started to see the little coastal valleys really start to get developed out. In 2009, we had the opportunity to start working with a tremendous consultant, Gant Goldfield, who has a range of knowledge in that area. And we were able to bring on a selection of vineyards and really start that exploration of Marin County in earnest. We're really excited about the potential. It's an unknown area. We're adventuring, we're exploring. And being able to go into these vineyards and kind of make history and start drawing the lines on the map, so to speak, of where the wines are going to be made is something I'm very proud to be part of.
Brian, Deloach is fortunately surrounded not only by mountains, but at the same time the coastline. Even Burgundy cannot claim that. Tell us about the Sonoma Coast and coastal strategy of Deloach Vineyards.
The coolness of the Pacific Ocean and the great terroirs that those coastal ranges provide allow for our coastal series to show a density upon the palate, but a friendliness in the aromatics that really invites people to enjoy them and makes you want to go back for that next glass. It's something that other areas of the world really don't benefit from, that long coast that California has and that cool Pacific Ocean influence, along with the marine-based soils that you see all along the coastline. It's something that's exciting to be able to explore down in the Central Coast region, where you have some tremendous terroirs in Monterey County and Santa Barbara County that are just now really starting to get discovered. On top of having the Sonoma Coast in our backyard, it seemed like the right decision to go and pursue these great wines.